Let's imagine you're at the reins of a car company that makes one of the best-selling cars in the country. In fact, one that just flies out of showrooms year after year, despite some really impressive competition coming to the market. And you're told you have to update it. Tough job, right? Well, that's exactly how we got the latest version of the Ford Focus, and boy does it have a tough job on its hands. To hear the scale of Ford's problem, just listen to some of the cars it's up against. Vauxhall Astra, Volkswagen Golf, Mazda 3, Kia Ceed, Skoda Octavia, Seat Leon, and the list goes on. And yet Focuses of the past have cultivated a reputation for being better to drive than all of those. Can this latest version do the same? That's what we'll find out in this review, as well as what it's like to live with and how much stuff you can fit in the boot. And remember, we don't just review cars at What Car, we can help save you thousands if you're looking to buy a new one. So head to whatcar.com and go to our new car buying section. First, let's see what it's like to drive. Going through the entire engine range takes quite a bit of time, so I'll give you the cut down version. You can either go for a 1 litre or 1.5 litre petrol, and each of those comes in multiple power guises, starting at 84 brake horsepower, going up to 180 brake horsepower. And if you're doing enough miles to warrant a diesel, you can either go for a 1.5 litre or a 2 litre, and the power guises range from 94 brake horsepower up to 148. Our pick of the bunch is the 123 brake horsepower 1 litre petrol engine called the 125 EcoBoost. It's not as punchy as the equivalently priced 1.5 litre Skoda Octavia. However, it's got a smooth power delivery through the rev range, and it's also extremely economical, returning only 108 grams per kilometre of CO2. In fact, the petrol choices are smart ones to make because they feature cylinder deactivation technology, which closes down a cylinder when you're cruising, and that helps save fuel. The petrol engines feel smooth and quiet, only producing a background thrum under hard acceleration. The 1.5 litre diesel does feel a little grumbly at idle, but then so do most of its rivals, and with speed that soon disappears. In terms of refinement in the cabin, there is some noise coming from the door mirrors when you pick up a bit of pace, but overall it's very well suppressed in the Ford Focus, so we give it a thumbs up. No matter which Focus you go for, you get a slick shifting 6-speed manual gearbox as standard, and across most of the range you can spec an 8-speed automatic. What suspension your Focus comes with depends on which engine and trim you choose. The ST line versions are slightly firmer, while some engines feature a more complex suspension arrangement. But fundamentally, the Focus is a great riding car no matter which version you buy. It sits somewhere between the ultra-supple Volkswagen Golf and the sometimes lumpy Skoda Octavia. You can upgrade to adaptive dampers, but we feel the standard car is so good there's no need to. And so to handling. Remember, this is one area where the Focus traditionally excels, and there is no change with the new version. It is one of the very best cars in its class to drive. It handles sweetly and goes from corner to corner with almost ballerina-like finesse. If you're a keen driver, you will love the beautifully weighted steering, which just adds to the joy. Get in the driver's seat of the Ford Focus and you notice just how comfortable it is. You get adjustable lumbar support and height adjustment as standard, and if you go for the comfort seats you get 18-way adjustments including an extendable thigh support, which is great if you're tall, definitely not something that I need to worry about. And the steering wheel adjusts for reach and rake, which means you can easily get a comfortable driving position. And for some added luxury, Zetec and above get this rather casual armrest. When it comes to all-round visibility, it's pretty good. Apart from the back is slightly compromised, but that is to be expected in its class. You get front and rear parking sensors as standard, or you can add them for £200 if you haven't gone for ST Line X and above. And if parking is really not your strong point, you can even get a reversing camera. Now, build quality in previous generations of the Ford Focus was a little bit hit and miss. While this new model does improve things, it's still not class leading. We'll start with the good bits. There's some soft touch materials, and if you go for Zetec and above, you get a leather bound steering wheel, and if you've gone for the manual, also a leather manual gear knob. And inside the door bins, they're carpeted, which is quite a neat touch. If you look a little bit lower down though, there are some quite harsh plastics, and nowhere really has the the lustre and shine that a Skoda Octavia or Volkswagen Golf has. Even some of the seat upholstery looks a little low rent. When it comes to infotainment, the entry-level model comes with a 4.2-inch screen, which comes with DAB radio, Bluetooth and 2 USB ports. Step up to Z-Tech or ST line models and above and you'll get a 6.5-inch touchscreen, which gets you Apple CarPlay and Android smartphone mirroring. It's pretty spacious in the front of a Ford Focus. It's definitely on a par with a Skoda Octavia. There's also plenty of places for your odds and ends. There's some storage in here, which is actually quite deep, so I can fit a few healthy snacks in there. And we've also got this useful tray, which I can put my lip gloss on. And we've got 2 cup holders here, and the door bin is a little on the small side and it's not very stable to hold a water bottle, so I'd leave that in there. The glove box is a decent size. It can definitely accommodate more than my sunglasses. And there's a spot there for your mobile phone. Space back here used to be a downside for the Focus, but now it is just as cavernous as a Skoda Octavia, certainly for legroom anyway, and headroom it's only slightly less in the Focus, although even if you're 6 foot, it still feels pretty spacious, unless you're sitting in the middle seat, because the seat is raised. So for long journeys, it would be pretty uncomfortable. Overall though, the Focus scores well in the back and is very spacious. If you have a weekend of DIY or extreme gardening to do, you'll be pleased to know this boot is just as big as the Volkswagen Golf. There is a small load lip here to contend with, but the square design means it's easy to fit a large pram or several suitcases in. And if you'd like to fold down the rear seats, that creates an almost flat floor and a lot more space. The only downside is you can't adjust that at this end with a handle like you can on its key rivals. There's 7 trim levels to choose from. The entry-level style is priced in line with the Skoda Octavia, while it is slightly cheaper than 5-door versions of the Volkswagen Golf. We'd recommend going for a mid-range titanium model if you can, because it comes with everything that the big selling Z-Tech cars have, but also adds front and rear parking sensors, keyless entry and start, heated front seats and the larger infotainment screen with sat-nav. It's still keenly priced too, and as already mentioned, we team it with the punchy but frugal 1-litre EcoBoost 125 petrol engine. When it comes to safety equipment, every model comes with automatic emergency braking and lane keep assist. And if you'd like to add adaptive cruise control and traffic sign recognition, you can do so at a very reasonable price. So the Ford Focus remains as the best driver's car in its class, and it's practical. Okay, some of the interior is not on a par with some of its rivals, but if you're looking for a family car, it should definitely be on your shortlist. For plenty more on the new Ford Focus, including our online review, head to whatcar.com. Remember, we can help save you thousands on your next new car. Go to the new car buying section and have a little click through. But before you do any of that, never miss another video, hit subscribe. Thank you.